Now your ideas don't have to wait. Dell Technologies and Intel are pushing what technology can do, so great ideas can happen right now. Find out how to bring your ideas to life at Dell.com. Welcome to now.
Is this the tackle?
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers were outstanding in so many areas Monday night in Denver. One thing they didn't do well was protect a 20-point lead in the second half. The breakdown led to Jamal Murray's game-winning shot at the buzzer to give Denver a heartbreaking 2-point win over the Lakers. Denver leads the best-of-7 first-round series 2-0. The Lakers have now lost 10 straight games to the Nuggets. What makes Murray's fall-away shot even more frustrating for the Lakers is that he hit it over Anthony Davis, the Lakers' best defender. AD was in perfect position to contest Murray's shot. The Nuggets' dramatic win spoiled a brilliant night for D'Angelo Russell. Russell dropped a career-high 7 3-pointers to silence all the haters. AD was also brilliant with 32 points and 11 rebounds. LeBron had 26 points and 12 assists. Game 3 is Thursday night at Crypto.com. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is dedicated to empowering our communities by providing progressive talk radio for our audience. We strive to be an intersectional voice for the voiceless. As a Black-owned and operated station, we are committed to highlighting diverse perspectives and creating safe spaces for meaningful dialogue. We believe that everyone has something unique to bring to these political, economic, social, and cultural conversations, and we don't shy away from the hard conversations about current events. We endeavor to be a beacon of hope and understanding, while boldly challenging listeners to think more deeply about difficult topics that impact us all. With this in mind, our mission statement at KBLA Talk 1580 is simple: to create an inclusive platform that promotes civil discourse through honest dialogue and encourages personal growth among our listeners, so they can become the active agents of change. Our vision is to establish ourselves as the premier radio network with relevant programming across the beloved community, connecting people through shared experiences and collective power for lasting impact beyond these challenging times.
Little girl with the pressing curl. Age 8, I got a Jerry curl. 13 and I got a relaxing. I was a source of so much laughter. At 15 when it all broke off. 18 and I went on natural. February 2002 I went on and did what I had to do, because it was time to change my life, to become the woman that I am inside. 97 dreadlocks all gone. I looked in the mirror for the first time and saw that, hey, I am not my hair, I am not this skin, I am not your expectations.
That's India Ari. I am Tavis Smiley. I'm delighted to have you hanging out with us today on our program, and particularly in this hour. And in this hour, two conversations on the B side of this hour. The investigative reporter Abrahm Lustgarten joins us for a conversation about his new text, On the Move, the Overheating Earth and the Uprooting of America, as part of our continuing and year-long series on climate justice. But as the song suggests, we commenced this hour in dialogue with Janell Stephens, founder and CEO of Camille Rose Naturals, the world's largest black-owned, female-led hair care brand. Janell, congratulations. Good to have you on this program. How are you today?
I am good. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm so very excited to talk to you guys.
We are glad to have you on. Let me just start and make the most of our time by jumping right in. Tell me about Camille Rose Naturals.
So Camille Rose is my passion turned into a big business. I started my company back in 2011. I started formulating with different ingredients, different emollients, oils, butters, and herbs, and right in my kitchen. There was a need in my household. My children had like severe bleeding eczemas and very dry scalp, and things that I found in the retail stores just wouldn't do it for me. It would not work. So I just wanted to research, what ingredients that were natural that could work on their skin and hair. And that's how Camille Rose was was born.
Yep. So I take it that you are not trained as a chemist, are you?
I'm a kitchen chemist.
Yeah.
So I have a master's in science, but I studied the body.
Right.
I didn't get into like the chemistry side of it,
Right.
but I'm self-taught, so I consider myself a kitchen chemist.
I like that phrase, kitchen chemist. She is a kitchen chemist. First kitchen chemist I've ever met. So I'm honored to meet you, Janell Stephens. Let me ask, what made you think? I love how you said you suggested that this is your passion that you've turned into production, obviously, and done
Right.
quite well with it. But what made you think that you could, on your own, go in your kitchen and figure out a way to create a product or products that would serve your own needs or the needs of your children? Like where did
Yeah.
the confidence come from that you could actually figure something out in your kitchen?
I think it came from the love that I had for my kids, like
Oh
any
yeah.
mom, right? I
Hmm.
know they were suffering, and I didn't like the way it looked when I, bathed them or saw their skin and how it would irritate them. So I think when you see your kids going through different stuff or not quite comfortable, as any mom will do, you try to solve the problem. And that's what I did. I took it upon myself to do so. I brought them to many doctors that prescribed a steroid cream. And, you can only use that so much, right,
Yeah.
without it scarring, right?
Tell,
And so I just said, you know what, let me study, let me learn, let me teach myself and figure out if I can do it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So take me back inside your kitchen, you kitchen chemist, you, and tell me more
Hmm.
about the process. I'm curious about the process of how you develop your very first product.
So, my very first product was actually a diaper rash cream that
Hmm.
I loved so much. It worked so well. And believe it or not, I remember saying, "Oh, I got to share this with everybody, share with other moms." So I went to Google and I tried to Google like a manufacturer, how to get a product on the market.
Hmm.
So I remember calling a laboratory and they started speaking language that I knew nothing about. Then they started speaking the cost, dollars. And that really like kind of discouraged me. So I was like, you know what? I don't have the money to do this right now. I just hung up the phone and went about my business. But I just became the love for making products and learning what different herbs can do and what different oils can do. I became addicted to it. And so I taught myself. I
Hmm.
studied under an herbalist for a year and started ordering ingredients to my house and went to work.
Yeah.
And what did not work, threw it out. What
Hmm.
worked, I kept and bottled it up.
Yep.
Mhm.
Tell me more about. I'm fascinated by this backstory. That this is my way, as the audience knows. I love getting to the end of the story, but it's the backstory that fascinates me. How people navigated these particular journeys and challenges and hills and peaks and valleys to get to where they are. So tell me more about what you learned from an herbalist.
Oh my God, like what different herbs can do to the body, the nutrients,
Hmm.
what boosts hair growth, what boosts the shine, what can moisturize, like what herbs you can boil and turn it into like a tea and use it on your skin, your body, like the whole nine. Like it was such an amazing experience for me. And it was actually, we did it over the phone because the herbalist was out of California and I
Hmm.
was still in Louisiana.
Uh-huh.
And so we would just talk and I bought books and then I ordered them and kind of played around with, the herbs that I loved and wanted in my products, just played around with them in my pots
Yeah.
and pans. Yeah. I brewed. I did a pinch of this and a
Yeah.
dash of that,
Yeah.
and it came out beautifully.
I want to talk about those pots and pans and a great deal more when we come forward. I am thrilled to be in conversation with Janell Stephens, who I think is Exhibit A of what happens when a sharp businesswoman who cares and about her children, loves her children, can in fact accomplish when she donates her time and energy and resources to something about which, as she said earlier, she is quite passionate. She is Janell Stephens. She's founder and CEO of Camille Rose, the world's largest black-owned, female-led hair care brand. More with her when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Interrogating and unpacking. That's what we do around here. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Hey y'all, Mona Swain here from Target's new YouTube series, My Cart is Full, where we feature Black founders and creators highlighting their connection to our community. As an actor and content creator, I love using my voice to inspire young Black women who look like me. When it comes to feeding my shine, seeing myself reflected in Black-owned and founded products at Target brings me joy. Together, we are Black Beyond Measure. Learn more at target.com/Black Beyond Measure.
Cookie wants to be a professional wrestler.
I'm Cookie Serratos and I'm 11 years old.
She also wants to win all the medals. That's why Cookie and her family make every day count, squeezing out her best with Go-Go Squeeze.
Okay, Cookie, let's break for a Go-Go Squeeze.
Go-Go Squeeze fruit on the go pouches are a nutritious snack made from 100% fruit with no sugar added.
Go, Cookie!
Because when you nurture your kids, you squeeze out the best in them. Squeeze out the best with Go-Go Squeeze. Not a low-calorie food. Products range from 11 to 13 grams of sugar and 60 to 70 calories per serving.
If your Medi-Cal is ending, Cover California is here to help. Cover California is a service from the state that helps you get affordable health insurance. In many cases, at no cost to you, just like with Medi-Cal. We have quality health plans, and we'll help you every step of the way to get the one that works for you and your family. So, if you're no longer eligible for Medi-Cal, check out Cover California. We'll keep you covered. Learn more at coveredca.com.
Some days I cover up because of my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis. Now I'm hitting the road with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieved 90% clearer skin at 4 months. And Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
I'm a waitress, so I know the difference between regular shoes and Skechers slip-resistant work shoes. Skechers slip-resistant work shoes make my job go like this. Here's your pasta primavera.
Thanks.
While regular shoes make my job go like this. Here's your pasta prima... Whoa! And that difference is why I wear Skechers slip-resistant work shoes to keep me safe on my feet. Plus, they're easy to clean and have Skechers exclusive air-cooled memory foam for comfort throughout my shift. Get America's #1 selling work shoe at Skechers.com, a Skechers store near you, or wherever work shoes are sold.
Let's get back to more of Tavis Smiley right now.
So, Janell Stephens, let me ask you, what have you learned in this process, in this journey, about Black people in particular and natural products? I don't want to color the question much more than that because I want to just tap into what your takeaways have been about Black people in particular and natural products.
So what I've learned is that we definitely want natural products. We love using natural products. We are label readers. We're into ingredients. We're into organics. And we support products made for us by us. Mm-hmm. And organically, that was how Camille Rose grew from my kitchen into landing in all of the major retail stores.
Yeah. Tell me about that part. It's one thing to have become a kitchen chemist and to have discovered what you discovered that works so well mm-hmm. on your own family, and now you want to share this with the world. But I know a little something about this. Getting access to those shelves. I mean, let's face it. There are millions of people who have millions of products, and everybody wants shelf space at Walmart. They all want shelf space at Target and Whole Foods and Walgreens and CVS. They all want shelf space, but shelf space is limited. I mean, as big as Walmart is, it's only so big. There are only so many shelves.
Right.
And so that shelf space is a competition like no other. I know the Walmart brand rather well after years of working with them. So give me a sense of how you started to get other folk to take your stuff, your products seriously enough to put it on their shelves.
Well, for me, I took my time and I decided to grow organically and not put too much pressure on myself, right? So I looked at my own e-commerce as a big box retailer, and I focused there first. And every order, every customer that I had, I treated them as if, they were shopping at a Target or a Walmart or a beauty supply store. So I started there, and my focus was there first, right? And then I happened to meet a buyer from one of the major retail stores at a show that I did, a beauty show. And we had just such a great conversation that he decided to invite me up to the corporate headquarters to kind of share my story and, with the execs there. And so I happened to be at the right place at the right time. I had a great meeting with them. I went up by myself. I didn't know anything about this. I didn't know the retail language. I had to kind of teach myself that. However, when the retailers decided, people have to be careful because sometimes, going into those retail stores too fast can kind of really break, your business. So I was offered way more doors than I knew that I could handle because I was still hand making and handcrafting all of my products. So I comfortably accepted 100 doors to start because, I knew that I wanted to, if I got on the shelf, I definitely wanted to win, and I wanted to be able to afford to be on the shelf.
Yeah.
It's very, very expensive to go in, and it's more expensive to come out. So I wanted to continue to enjoy, my brand, enjoy my products, making my products, and be at a comfortable place with going into retail, being able to manage my e-commerce, and still handcrafting until I found a partner that can help me produce the products on a larger scale.
Yep. I ain't trying to get all up in your business, but again, I am. Since you used the word afford, I'm listening to your story, as is the audience, of course, and I'm trying to imagine how, with all these fits and starts, I mean, to your point, and this ain't rocket science, we all know this. If you're trying to create anything, it ain't gonna work the first time you do it. So you try it this way, you try it this way, you try it the other way. You said that earlier. That costs money. You're a mother, you got a family, you got kids. How did you afford to do all of this?
Well, I tell this story as well. I had a job, and when I tell people I had a 9 to 5, and when people say, I know you heard this, to step out on faith and quit your job, and I tell people stepping out on faith, definitely do that, but it does not always mean quit your job and just trust the process. You have to still do your job. And then when you get off your job, come home and work your craft double and triple time. And then, be able to afford, what you want to do, be able to still, run your household. Fortunately, I had a husband to help with that as well. And so, I did not put pressure on myself at all. And I think that was the key for me, at least, for surviving and still being able to enjoy, growing my brand.
And how did your kids, this is my word, not yours, how did your kids feel about being your guinea pigs all this time?
They loved it. Like it was definitely a family affair because they had their hands in screwing like the tops or the caps on the bottles let's all get in the car. We got to go to the postal service to our UPS to mail our packages. So it was definitely, it had to be, because I'm a mom of 5. I had 5 little ones, so it had to be. We all have to pitch in and do this together.
Yeah. So tell me about that moment when you realized that your stuff was growing fast enough, that people were embracing your products enough. You're doing your own e-commerce, but now it's growing to the point where you need somebody to help you to mass produce your product. You can't get into Walmart and Target and CVS and Walgreens and all the places, Whole Foods, all the places you are now. I ain't got to your global stuff yet, but just domestically, you can't get on all those shelves without somebody conjoining with you to help you mass produce your product. So tell me about that part of the story.
That was so hard because, again, I knew nothing of it. And what people don't realize is, for the first year in Target, I was still hand making everything.
Hold up. While you were already in Target nationwide, you were still. Wow.
I did, and I hired one person that she helped me, so we were still hand making everything ourselves. And then it really, I wouldn't advise that to anybody because it took a lot out of me. And me just being so green and new to this business, I didn't know what I was thinking. Okay, I'll make the first order and then I'm done.
Yeah.
Well, no, 2 weeks later, orders just started coming and coming and coming. And I was like, wait a minute, this is not a game.
Yeah.
And I remember saying, okay, I have to figure this out. I have to find a manufacturer to help me mass produce. Well, that was a lot of the laboratories really didn't believe what I believed in. They wanted to change the formulas and add a synthetic and something cheap, and I didn't want that at all. I happened to luckily find a manufacturer that said, okay, well, I'll help you out, but a lot of these ingredients are food grade, so you have to purchase all of your ingredients yourself. So it was he was just allowing me to borrow his tank, but I had to still purchase all tubs, huge amounts of ingredients, pallets, and send to his facility for him to manufacture for me. So the first 2 years was definitely a struggle. It was a learning process.
Yeah.
And once I figured it out, it's been smooth sailing.
You said a couple of things I want to ask you about. I'm just watching my time here. Number one, what's been your takeaway? What are your learnings, your sharings about working with laboratories? I heard you suggest a moment ago that these initial labs wanted you to change your recipes, as it were, add synthetics, et cetera, et cetera. What have you learned about working with labs and doing it your way and being true to what you want to do?
My goodness, you have to really find the right partner there. You have to find someone who believes in the same thing that you believe in, or it will not work. That was a struggle. I've heard that, first of all, their trained chemists didn't want a kitchen chemist coming in there telling them what to do and how to do it. So that was tough. But you must stay true to what you believe in. Don't be afraid to speak your piece, speak your heart. And if they don't want to do it, don't be afraid to just walk away and find somebody that you match perfectly with.
Yeah. I want to ask you, Janell Stephens, how you discovered, how you connected with your customer base. Before I ask that question, I'm laughing. This show is always funny to me. I never know where these conversations are going to lead and how people are going to respond. But I knew that people would be empowered and inspired by your story and the story of Camille Rose. So you'll get a kick out of this. I'm starting to get all these messages now. I got my phone in my hand. For those who are watching me, you can see me with my phone in my hand. I'm getting all these messages now from all these black women across the country who are sending me photos of your stuff, the products that they use. I'm looking at one right now. This person uses Camille Rose Curl Love, the moisture milk,
Yeah.
Curl Love.
Yep.
So that I've got that picture in my phone. There are others popping into my phone right now as I look at our socials. People using your stuff and let me know that they use it and wanting me to thank you
I love it.
for the product. That's fascinating for me. So tell me more about how in this journey you actually discovered your customer base and who is your customer.
My customer base is my sisters
Yeah.
that look like me, that talk my language. And I feel like strangers that I don't even know would send me a DM or email, hey, Janell, like I'm just their girl.
Mm-hmm.
And because I am, I'm one of them. My texture's like them, my skin is like theirs. And so I can relate to my needs and their needs.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like I said before, like I'm formulating for me. When I formulate for me, I'm formulating for them as well.
Yeah.
And, go ahead.
No. I was going to ask whether or not it was always the plan. These are the things that fascinate me. Was it always the plan, or did it just happen? Did it just happen this way that you are the face of your brand? I know a lot of people who have a lot of brands, a lot of product, but they're not always the face of it. Was that the plan from the very beginning?
Not necessarily. I think that just kind of happened organically. I think I became the face because I'm the mouthpiece, because I talk my brand all the time with whoever, whenever. If somebody have a need, I'm going to talk about it, And it just happened organically for me. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean it's a good choice. Don't get me wrong. Now I'm glad you're the face of the brand, but I was just curious as whether that was planned or just kind of sort of happened over time. So tell me about your global platform now. You're not just in Walmart. Well, of course, Walmart is international, but you're not just Walmart and Target and Whole Foods and Walgreens and CVS. You've gone global now. Tell me about that expansion.
Man, that goes back to when I was saying grow organically. Take your time and grow. And, God has taken us all over this world. We've launched, in Africa last year. We're in Europe, of course. We're everywhere. I have an international team and a U.S. team. And, I call them my Rosette.
Mm-hmm.
So I have Spanish-speaking Rosette. I have my Rosette speak many different languages, and we do events. Whatever we do here in the U.S., we're doing it there internationally as well. So the growth is real. I'm definitely, I thank God every day.
Yeah.
I definitely feel that this is my calling, and so I'm enjoying every, just the ride.
Yeah.
Right?
I will close on this note, and you're right where I'm headed. So let me catch up to you right quick. When you look back on this journey, starting out with your making yourself a kitchen chemist, when you look back on this and you see all that you've been blessed to accomplish, and you're still building and growing, and as you mentioned, UK, Africa, Brazil, you're all around the world now. What do you, at this point at least, what do you make of this journey that you've been blessed to be on?
Wow. I recently, I was visiting the White House, and, I'm such a workaholic that I seldomly take time to stop and smell the roses.
Mm-hmm.
And I was visiting the White House maybe last month or so.
Mm-hmm.
And as I walked through the White House, I'm just taking videos, and I go up the stairs and I hear this gospel choir, right?
Yeah.
And I was raised in a gospel household. My mom was very religious, and so I knew the song.
Mm-hmm.
And then as I walked up the stairs, I saw this gospel choir, and then I saw the painting of our one Black president on that wall.
Sure.
And I got chills and tears came to my eyes. And for a quick second, I was like, wait, God, why me? Why am I in here? What am I doing here?
Yeah.
And then I stopped questioning God right away. And I'm like, because you deserve to be here. You worked hard. And so,
No, that's the answer. You worked hard,
Yeah.
and you deserve to be here.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you had that moment of revelation. She may not be taking time to smell the roses, pardon the pun, but she is the founder and CEO of Camille Rose, and she's done quite well. And this story ain't even done being written yet as she continues to expand. Janell Stephens, we celebrate you. We honor you. We are grateful to you on behalf of all those women that use your products. Thank you for this conversation. I deeply enjoyed it.
Thank you so much.
Wish you all the best. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
For all the freedom-loving folk, this is Tavis Smiley.
I feel like freedom.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know the United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time? Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
Thank you for joining us on a Tuesday, everyone. I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Chicago, Illinois Mayor Brandon Johnson is speaking out about the deadly shooting of Chicago police officer Luis Huesco over the weekend. The African-American mayor said seeing the officer's body lay as the family was preparing to go into the morgue was one of the most difficult things he's ever done. Johnson reiterated that he will continue his mission of making the city safer by dealing with the root causes of crime. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. wants the entire U.S. budget available on blockchain if elected. The independent presidential candidate said during a rally in Michigan that it would allow any American to look at the budget at any time. The blockchain is a ledger of transactions that is typically associated with cryptocurrency. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Now your ideas don't have to wait. Dell Technologies and Intel are pushing what technology can do, so great ideas can happen right now. Find out how to bring your ideas to life at Dell.com. Welcome to Now.
Is this the time? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers were outstanding in so many areas Monday night in Denver. One thing they didn't do well was protect a 20-point lead in the second half. The breakdown led to Jamal Murray's game-winning shot at the buzzer to give Denver a heartbreaking 2-point win over the Lakers. Denver leads the best-of-7 first-round series 2-0. The Lakers have now lost 10 straight games to the Nuggets. What makes Murray's fall-away shot even more frustrating for the Lakers is that he hit it over Anthony Davis, the Lakers' best defender. AD was in perfect position to contest Murray's shot. The Nuggets' dramatic win spoiled a brilliant night for D'Angelo Russell. Russell dropped a career-high 7 3-pointers to silence all the haters. AD was also brilliant with 32 points and 11 rebounds. LeBron had 26 points and 12 assists. Game 3 is Thursday night at Crypto.com. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
We're not just a thermometer recording and broadcasting popular opinion. We aim to be a thermostat, transforming the conversation about climate justice in our community. This is KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, a.k.a. the voice of reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the voice of reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Presenting a Gain Flings love story. Dear love of my life, we were on the 12B bus this morning when I caught a whiff. A scent so fresh, so life-changing, I had to find its source. Alas, I didn't know if you were the woman in the pink freshly washed cardigan or the retired mailman next to me, but I knew one of you was my soulmate. Ah, the scent of Gain Flings. Try Gain Flings with OxyBoost and Febreze.
Substance use disorder and addiction is so isolating. And so, as a Black woman in recovery, hope must be loud. It grows louder when you ask for help and you're vulnerable. It is the thread that lets you know that no matter what happens, you will be okay.
When we learn the power of hope, recovery is possible. Find out how at startwithhope.com. Brought to you by the National Council for Mental Wellbeing, Shatterproof, and the Ad Council.
He's rooting for everybody black. Everybody black. More of Tavis Smiley coming your way right now.
I enjoyed immensely that conversation with Janell Stephens, and now for a conversation that is a bit more sobering. Humanity is on the precipice of a great climate migration, and Americans will not be spared. Tens of millions of people are likely to be driven from the places that they now call home. Poor communities, made up of Black and brown people, will be left behind, while growth will surge in the cities and regions most attractive to climate refugees. America will be changed utterly. Abrahm Lustgarten's new book, On the Move, The Overheating Earth and the Uprooting of America, is the definitive account of what this massive population shift is going to look like. Hear me now. As he shows in this book, the U.S. will be rendered unrecognizable by 4 unstoppable forces: wildfires in the West, frequent flooding in the coastal regions, extreme heat and humidity in the South, and droughts that will make farming all but impossible across much of the nation. He has been reporting from the front lines of climate migration for quite a while, and I'm pleased to have him on this program to discuss his new book. It's called, once again, On the Move, The Overheating Earth and the Uprooting of America. This conversation is part of our continuing and year-long focus on climate justice, and I'm pleased to have Abrahm on this program. Abrahm, how are you today, sir?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Good to have you, man. If I complained, I'd be an ingrate. Delighted to be in conversation with you. This is scary stuff, and I wrestle all the time as we're in the midst, I mentioned earlier, of a year-long climate justice campaign at my home station in L.A. We're syndicated across the country, but in L.A., KBLA Talk 1580 is in the midst of a multi-million-dollar climate justice campaign aimed specifically and unapologetically at Black people, at poor people, that community, as you well know, who are the disproportionate victims of these climate catastrophes and climate maladies, but have been left too much out of this conversation. So we're trying to flip the script and change that with a variety of things that we're doing throughout the year. That said, this conversation fits right into what we're doing at my home station, but for that matter, across the country, this stuff matters. I say all that to ask how you get people to pay attention to a storyline that is not sexy, but also scary at the same time.
Well, I think we're at a point where it's in everyone's interest to kind of pay attention and balance the scales. And when, in terms of climate justice, in terms of climate migration, what I think of is, how cities are going to be transformed and rapidly urbanized. And if you can't attend to all people, equally with the kind of issues and burdens that are coming, then you're only going to have, greater greater pressure and greater conflict within those communities. And I don't think that that's in anybody's interest economically or socially, and so how you get them to pay attention, I try to tell stories of real people and the difficult decisions and challenges that they're facing, and not in a hyperbolic way, like this is so scary, here's a horror story, but in a way that sympathizes with the very, human challenges and nuances of these kinds of issues.
Let's talk then about the uprooting of America, specifically these 4 unstoppable forces that I mentioned earlier. Talk to me about those 4, please.
Yeah, so I collected data to look geographically at the primary, forces pushing geographically on the United States. And we have wildfires coming from the west, but also a bit in the southeast. We have sea level rise on all of our coasts. We have hurricanes, increasing in severity in the Gulf Coast region and the southeast in particular. We have, drought across the Midwest, which is also affecting crop yields and farming, both across the Midwest, but also south in Arizona and Texas and places like that. And heat, just rising heat, which naturally, is more severe in the south. And together, these things are kind of squeezing the country from the outside. And you could imagine that the relief direction is towards the north, which is what, the models and the climate data that I'm looking at suggest that, these conditions will be a little less severe in the upper Midwest and the northern Great Lakes region. And so that's the general hypothesis here, is that we get a squeezing of the country and a movement of population from those high-risk places in the south and the west, more towards the north and the northeast.
And what happens then, Abrahm, when people start being driven from the places that they do call home?
Well, migration's a complex thing, right? So I'm not trying to paint a picture of a total evacuation of certain places or of, American refugees per se. But there is displacement, and that displacement can be from a severe storm or an event, or it can be from this slow-moving, oppressive effect of something like rising heat in downtown Los Angeles that just becomes intolerable, or in downtown Phoenix. And that will push people to seek a different situation, and not just for environmental reasons, but maybe because it's also combined with economic opportunity or a family tie or a connection in a new place. And that's kind of how migration happens. But the risk is if those receiving communities don't prepare for that in lots of different ways. There's policy implications, but prepare for it in terms of having capacity or infrastructure, or to prevent gentrification, or just socially to allow different communities to get along. Then you get conflict, and you get conflict between black and white communities, rich and poor communities, new and old communities, people competing for jobs, and so forth. So I think that my number one message in writing this book is that this is going to require some forethought and some preparation. It doesn't have to be terrible, but it will require some preparation.
I was struck by the use of your phrase, climate refugees. When we think of refugees, we tend to think of, well, what we think of in other parts around the globe. But it is the case, if your argument is correct, and all the evidence suggests that it is, that we will have climate refugees inside this country.
Yeah, we do now. I use refugees in the colloquial term, right? It's a legal term. We're not talking about refugees from conflict that meet the UN definition, but refugees that are pushed out of a place that they would, call home. Mm-hmm. I spent a lot of time reporting in southern Louisiana, for example, which is a place where you can see the amplified effects of sea level rise because the ground is subsiding at the same time the sea level is rising. And so the effects are happening faster. And that is already displacing indigenous and Black communities, especially. Everybody's familiar with Hurricane Katrina, so long ago, but that was the start of a migratory push. And ever since, in the 20 years since then, near 20 years since then, the population of the southernmost parishes in Louisiana have decreased, and those people have been moving northward. I spent time in a community, an indigenous community in Louisiana called Ile de Jean Charles, where the residents there have literally been displaced. Their homes are underwater, and a government resettlement program has moved them northward to, it's not an encampment, it's new homes. It's sort of nice, but it's not the home that they chose or the home that they came from. And similarly, spent time in a community called Slidell, Louisiana, which is really this crossroads. It's seeing wealthier white people move out of New Orleans and move north and displacing poor Black people who have been there for literally hundreds of years, whose homes are in lower lying areas or who can't afford to rebuild after flooding and things like that. So it's sort of a picture of this sort of refugee displacement in the United States.
No, and there's the rub. Therein lies the rub, which we'll talk about when we come forward, because if we're all going to end up, all of us as in American citizens in certain regions, if we're all going to end up being displaced, forced out of the places that we call home, if we're all going to end up being climate refugees, there is a clear distinction that those who have money, those with the resources, will have the capacity, the ability to relocate themselves, even if it means pushing other folk out who've been there for eons. The problem is that the poor people, the Black and brown people of this country, will not have the resources to relocate themselves as others will, and it's a problem. You can see you ain't got to be a rocket scientist. You ain't got to be Abrahm Lustgarten to understand why this climate migration is about to become a major issue in this country. More about it when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
From Leimert Park with love, this is Tavis Smiley.
What is dedication?
My biggest fear in the middle of my addiction was that my kids wouldn't have a father. And I started thinking, you know what? This isn't my story. I definitely had to become a better man to be a better father. It's important to me that my kids are empowered and truly believe that if they can think it, they can do it.
That's dedication. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Joey from Vermont, a farmer trying to get through the winter. Adriana from South Carolina, a single mother living paycheck to paycheck. Liam from Ohio, an injured father struggling to provide for his family. Hi, I'm Shanola Hampton, and I support the Feeding America network of food banks because they help provide over 6 billion meals to people in need each year. Learn more at feedingamerica.org.
We used to argue about whose turn it was to clean the gutters, but then I had Leaf Filter gutter protection installed.
Wait, I told you Leaf Filter had free inspections and estimates and a lifetime guarantee.
Meaning we never have to argue about whose turn it is to clean the gutters again.
But I visited leaffilter.com/beacon first.
No, I did.
It doesn't matter who. Visit leaffilter.com/beacon to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off today.
See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military discount. One discount per household.
Did you know that feeling sluggish or weighed down could be a sign that your digestive system isn't working at its best? Taking Metamucil every day can help. Metamucil fiber powders help promote your daily digestive health using a plant-based fiber called psyllium. The gelling action of this special fiber traps and removes waste so you can feel lighter and more energetic. Metamucil, promoting digestive health for a better you. Learn more at metamucil.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Hello, this is Dr. Rosa Milligan calling authors and business owners to register now for Black Writers on Tour plus Business and Tech Expo Saturday, April 27th, 10 to 3 p.m. at the Carson Community Center.
Authors, aspiring writers, learn how to write, publish, and sell your book. Business owners, let people know where you're at. Call 323-750-3592. It's a free event. You heard right, free. And there's something for everybody. Go to blackwritersontour.com and register today. 323-750-3592.
Literacy and technology is everybody's business. Black Writers on Tour, Saturday, April 27th, 10 to 3 p.m. Admission and parking is free. See you there, 323-750-3592. BlackWritersOnTour.com. Don't you miss it.
More honesty than you can handle.
More empowerment than you can imagine.
You're tuned in to Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Abrahm Lustgarten, whose new book is called On the Move, The Overheating Earth and the Uprooting of America, part of our continuing and year-long series on climate justice on this program. I don't need to tell you, Abrahm, there are too many people in this country, some of them happen to be elected officials in Washington, no less, who don't believe the science, won't accept the science. So let me just ask you, even when they read books like these, they don't want to believe the science or accept it. How much of this is man-made and how much of this is damage that is already irreparable?
Climate change is man-made. That's the scientific consensus unambiguously. Everyone who pays attention to it agrees with that, regardless of their politics. And a good bit of it is already in motion and cannot be reversed because of the emissions that we have already collectively put into the atmosphere. But there is a dramatic difference that can be achieved in cutting emissions now. So that's to say, like, none of us should feel like there is no work to be done, or that these results are a foregone conclusion. What we do next really matters. If we cut emissions right now, it will slow the rate of warming, and in the models that I used, it will also dramatically cut the number of displaced people, the number of potential climate migrants.
Tell me more then specifically about what the mandate is in this particular American moment. What is the mandate?
Well, we need to cut our emissions as absolutely quickly as we possibly can on the mitigation side. That is to slow the rate of warming, right? So all of the things that you're hearing in current policy to reduce emissions, shifting to renewable energy, shifting to electric appliances at home, all of those things help. I am also very focused on adapting to the change that is already coming, and I really think this is equally important. And, in the context of our conversation in terms of climate justice, what that means is growing cities and preparing, for the movement of populations and protecting those populations, kind of in the same ways that we've needed to do for generations now, but have fallen behind in doing, but more urgently now. So, we need better housing and fair housing, and we need tax structures that, keep people, in their communities, so they're not displaced by rising values and gentrification. You need good public transportation. You need safe building materials that are available to people of all economic classes that can, either cool their homes in the summer, or heat them in the winter. And so these sort of basic investments are becoming more and more important, because what we see with climate's effects in the United States and elsewhere, but in the United States, is that it's just dividing, the vulnerable communities the same way they've always been divided, and it picks on those weakest spots and it exacerbates them. And so if the inequities between rich and poor or black and white have been, vulnerabilities in the past, the warming and the climate, impact are taking those same vulnerabilities and amplifying them.
More about the urgency of now in our remaining moments with Abrahm Lustgarten, author of the new book On the Move, The Overheating Earth and the Uprooting of America, when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Unapologetically progressive, unapologetically black. You're tapped into Tavis Smiley.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
My daughter was diagnosed with a rare malignant rhabdoid tumor on the spine. They sent her straight to St. Jude. My hope was gone. But when you get there, everyone's like, hey, we're not going to give up. And when you see other people not giving up on your child, that makes all the difference in the world. When I found out I didn't have to pay, I was just grateful. They saved my baby's life.
Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA reminds you that when we fight, we win, and we don't black down.
LA Community Action Network, or LA CAN, was formed in 1999 when 25 residents of downtown LA came together and acknowledged the problems that existed in their community and made a commitment to do something about those problems, to stand together, organize, and become a force in the community that demands change. Civil rights and preventing the criminalization of poverty are their core projects. In addition, they take on women's rights, the human right to housing, and healthy food access. LA CAN also has projects focused on economic development, civic participation, voter engagement, and community media. While downtown LA remains their home base, with a particular emphasis on the Skid Row community, in 2007 they expanded their housing and healthy food access work into South Central Los Angeles. LA CAN believes that power for low-income people and people of color is achieved through a large, active, and well-informed member base that utilizes a multitude of methods to advance their messages and goals. If you'd like to join the Los Angeles Community Action Network and organize people to fight back against oppression, please visit cangress.org. That's cangress.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
1 in 3 children born today will get diabetes. This sad prediction by the Centers for Disease Control will come true if millions of Americans don't improve their lifestyles, especially by changing what they eat, how much they eat, and how active they are every day. Every 23 seconds, another American gets diabetes. Stop diabetes before it starts. To learn more, contact the American Diabetes Association or download our free diabetes education programs at learningaboutdiabetes.org.
Helping to make you the most knowledgeable person in your circle of friends. This is Tavis Smiley.
That's exactly what I'm trying to do, make you the most knowledgeable person in your circle of friends so you can pass on what you know to others, and you should pass on to others what you heard in this conversation with Abrahm Lustgarten and share with them the name of his book. It's called On the Move, The Overheating Earth and the Uprooting of America. And in the 3 minutes I have left with Abrahm Lustgarten, I want to go back to something he said a moment ago about the way we can mitigate some of the damage that is coming if we act now. And you used a phrase that jumped out at me, Abrahm, when you suggested that what we need now are some basic investments in, and you ran the list of things that we need basic investments in as we reduce our emissions. But that term jumped out at me because you call them basic investments, and yet we fight over these things all the time politically, and I'm not sure that our body politic understands, much less accepts, what these basic investments are, and that we aren't moving fast enough to make them.
Well, I agree with you, and it's easy to be pessimistic about those opportunities. Except that I would say that there's a couple of bright spots. I focus a great deal in the book, an entire chapter, on the climate justice issues, and use Los Angeles as an example. And there's a lot of problems around climate justice in Los Angeles, but a bright spot is the city's efforts, which I write about, to plant more trees across the city, which is extraordinarily important to lowering the street temperature during heat waves in Black and brown communities, and has the literal effect of reducing rates of mortality and cardiovascular deaths, for example. And so that's the kind of effort that is being made and is effective, next to the long list of efforts that aren't being made. I spent a lot of time reporting for this book in the city of Atlanta, which is another sort of fascinating example. And again, Atlanta's full of wins and losses in this area, but it's done a lot to green the city and create a new beltline. And unfortunately, this new green park around the city of Atlanta has had the effect of leading to rapid gentrification in several Black communities that I spent time in a neighborhood called Pittsburgh, for example, that has a really rich, Black history to it. And so now it's a little bit late, and it would have been better if this happened at the beginning. But now Atlanta is trying to reconceive how it taxes, appreciating property values so that it can protect the residents who are still there and not have this sort of automatic displacement as they make, their city nicer. And those are the kinds of, thinking out of the box, approaches that I think are going to be critical to stabilizing communities, making investments that equalize communities in ways that have been needed for 20 years, but now they're more urgent, and they have to happen faster.
Everybody agrees that Abrahm Lustgarten has written the best account of one of the least examined but most immediate consequences of climate change. And I'm particularly interested in it, given the impact it will have on communities of color. Hence the conversation with Abrahm Lustgarten on this program. The book, once again, is called On the Move, The Overheating Earth and the Uprooting of America. Abrahm, you've done some great work. Thank you for your work and your witness. Good to have you on this program, sir. All the best to you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate the conversation.
Good to have you on. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica,